Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This meeting is being recorded, and if you do not wish to be recorded, please turn your video off. Thank you to the team at LinkedIn for joining us today, and I also would like to thank Dina Mangini for organizing this workshop. And I am now going to turn it over to Emma.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Emma North. I am a customer success coordinator for LinkedIn Learning. I work with some of our largest and most strategic accounts across the corporate, government, and higher education space. I've been with LinkedIn Learning for 4 years now, and I'm located in Southern California, working out of our Carpinteria office. So happy to have you guys here today and excited to talk about LinkedIn Learning.
Well, thank you, Emma. Just go ahead and dive in if you want to give us maybe a background on LinkedIn, some of the tools and resources, how to set up a
Sure.
profile.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm looking this way because that's where my my big screen is. But as you come into LinkedIn Learning, this is the first thing you'll see once you go through registration. So you have access to a license through the consortium. So do encourage everyone to get started with it. It's a great resource, and it's definitely a supplement to having a LinkedIn profile. The skills that you say you have on your LinkedIn profile, this is where you can upskill, reskill yourself if you have a gap. So let's see you find a job on LinkedIn that you're interested in, but you don't know that much about Excel. You might need to brush up a little bit. I know the basics, but I might not know enough to really make myself a good candidate for that job. You can come to LinkedIn Learning and type in Excel, find a bunch of courses and upskill yourself. And then one of the great benefits of connecting your profile to your LinkedIn Learning license is you can share your certificates of completion. So it will post on your LinkedIn profile. So all of the people looking for candidates can see what you've accomplished, and they can also see the skills that you've earned. So that's one of the great benefits. Connecting your profile also allows us to see what you already know, and we can infer. So if you already have a job or you have some job experience on your LinkedIn profile, we can infer from that job title what skills you might need. And so similar to Netflix, where as you watch content and say you like things, and when you first set up your profile, it asks you what kinds of stuff you like to watch. We have something similar. So all of these carousels will be populated based on other content that you've interacted with, what's trending, so what's popular right now. We have a banner up here at the top that will tell you popular and relevant content. So racial justice and racial equality is a huge topic of conversation, as it should be. So we highlight that kind of content, and we're also celebrating Black History Month and highlighting some of our authors of color. So those are going to be populated up here on what we call our hero banner. I love to call it that, but that's one of my favorites. It's an easy way to find content if you're looking for a jumping off point. And then one other thing I like to do when I set up LinkedIn Learning for myself is make sure that I get in the habit of learning. So we have this goal setting feature. You can start slow at 15 minutes a week. It doesn't have to be a huge commitment, but this will make sure that we send you little reminders of, hey, you're almost at your goal. Maybe come back and watch a few minutes more of content. So these carousels are a good place to find content that will probably be relevant to you, things you're interested in, things related to things you're watching, and other things that have been curated by the school. So the other way you can find content is just a general browse. So we have a little over 16,000 courses in our library, over 7 languages. So there's a lot to offer. And we categorize that into 3 different libraries: business, creative, and technology. So I would say business is like your soft skills. It doesn't have to sound as buttoned up as it is, but it's professional development, communication, business, career development. Then our creative library is arts, there's graphic design. We have a music library. So if you want to learn guitar, you can. If you want to learn music theory or songwriting, we have those courses available, along with like 3D modeling, AutoCAD, things like that. And then we have our technology library. So that's going to be IT, software development, cloud computing, web development, security, all of that stuff is also very relevant today. Those jobs are in high demand and generally high paying. So this is where you can develop those skills. So you can search for content this way, just by clicking on a topic. So let's say I wanted to learn more about, let's see, do front-end web development. That sounds interesting. So it will give me a list of content that we have in our library related to that. And then this is where you can use our filters. So if you're maybe not looking for a full-on like 5-hour course and you just want something short, we have this time to complete filter. So I can say I want to narrow it anything between 10 and 30 minutes. That automatically takes me down to 26 options. So you're already well on your way. And then you can sort over here if you want by best match, by view count, and then by newest. So if you've already taken a lot of content in this area and you just want to see what's new on the platform, this is a good way to do that. So it'll surface courses and videos for you, and then you can filter it even further. And so our courses are made up of videos and set up in chapters. So a course might be 5 hours long, but each video is probably 1 to 5 minutes, depending on the type of content and the breadth. So you can kind of narrow it down that way. And then the last way to surface content for yourself, if you're looking for something, is this keyword search. So if I was looking for an interview skills course, this one looks interesting, but you can do it the same way we used the filters last time. You can use them over here, time to complete. You can search based on level. We do also have continuing education unit courses available. So if you have your PMP certificate or you're working towards it, we have PMI courses, NASBA, SHRM, HRCI, IIBA, and CompTIA, lots of letters, all those good acronyms. So we have those available. We also have a lot of certification prep courses. And I do also want to point out that we are a Microsoft company. So we have what we call day and date releases. So as Microsoft is putting out updates to their Office suite, we're releasing content on the same day. So we have an agreement with them because they're our parent company. We also have similar agreements with Adobe. So as they're releasing new Photoshop and Premiere and all of those cool courses, we're releasing updates to that content.
So Emma, I have a question. When you were, going through the filters and you had beginner, intermediate, advanced, are there badges that that students can get that takes them from beginner to intermediate to advanced? And I said you did say it was linked automatically to their LinkedIn profile.
Mhm.
So how many classes does it normally take to get a badge? So if we were to do
Mhm.
communication, right, some soft people skills, like how
Right.
many classes would
That's a
it take?
great question. So the badges, so we have certificates of completion. They're not based on level, they're based on you completing a course. So as you watch all of the videos within a course, you'll get a certificate of completion that lists the title of the course, the author, and how much time. So how long the course was when you watched it. And that's what can get posted. And then each course is tagged with skills. So I'll jump over here. This is, let me pull it up here. Economic graph. And I know this is something that Ryan likes to show as part of our, it's a relatively new feature. We didn't used to share this externally, but this is our economic graph. And it's where we get all of our data. So because we are part of LinkedIn, we're able to see what's on people's profiles. So we're pulling from 722 million member profiles, 55 million companies, 24 million job postings. With that comes the 36,000 skills that we look at. And we have 115,000 schools on LinkedIn right now. So with all of that data, we can see what jobs are trending and what job postings, what skills do you need to get that job? And that informs our course roadmap. So as we're saying, like, what do we need to develop? Where are we trending? What's missing? We look at this data. So as you're completing courses, you can get a certificate, post it to your LinkedIn profile, and show that you have those skills. So it's more of a self-assessment on the beginner, intermediate, advanced on how comfortable you feel with the subject matter. but there's not a prerequisite to taking an advanced course that you have to have completed a beginner level course.
Okay.
You can stop and start, go back. So if you start an intermediate course and it's a little bit above your head, you can go back and find a beginner course and start there instead.
Okay. So there's really the opportunity for skill building and
Absolutely.
scaffolding different skill sets. Okay.
Yeah, our
Excellent.
whole mission statement is creating economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce,
Mm,
and through that is upskilling and reskilling. So,
mm,
if you're a corporate organization and maybe especially like these times, budgets are tight, so maybe you don't have the option to hire new talent, you need to reskill or upskill the people that you currently have. And so this is where something like LinkedIn Learning can come in. You have a database of courses, and we have the information from LinkedIn to say these are the skills that everyone needs, or that we're seeing are the most popular with the open jobs that we have posted on our site. And one thing for education is we can say with connected profiles, here's where your students have gone after they've graduated and completed their certificate programs, their graduate programs. These are the jobs they got. This is the kind of pay that they got. So with the connected profiles, we get the information from this economic graph of what's happening with the students, with their life cycle of their career after they leave school.
right. Okay. And will it also show the connections between their classmates, and will it make connections with, so this person went to Chafee and you went to
Mm-hmm.
Chafee and you're in the same space? It'll make those connections for them as well.
Yeah. So on LinkedIn Flagship, so in your LinkedIn profile, will surface based on similar to how LinkedIn Learning says, like you watch this, you might be interested in this. It's hey, here's some other people who either had the same job, have been in the same area as you, went to the same schools as you, almost like a Facebook people you might know,
Mm-hmm.
but much more professional. It's like these are in your network, and so you have different levels of connection. There's that first level where or first degree, it's people you directly know, so you've worked directly with this person, most likely you know them personally, you've met them, interacted with them in some way shape or form.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there it's second, third, kind of like the what is it, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or 6 degrees of separation thing. So it's you might not know them personally, but they've worked with someone you've worked with, or they went to school with someone you went to school with. And so it helps you kind of build your network that way if you don't have a huge network to start out with.
Right.
So that's, I think, one of the benefits of LinkedIn is that we suggest people like you might also know this person, or because you're interested in this or you're in this field, here are some people that might be beneficial to know. And gives you the opportunity to send them an email and say, hey, I don't know you personally, but I aspire to be where you are. Would you be able to give me some career advice, or what kinds of things should I work on to get where you are? That kind of stuff.
Do you mind? I love that in-mail feature, right? So for our students, one of the activities that they'll have to do in the next few weeks is to make connections, right? So they will be finding folks in their career field, right? And making connections, and I almost feel like it's like cold calling, right? So
Yeah.
when making connections in this space, what strategies do you give them for searching? Should they search organization? Should they search industry? Should they search job title? Like, what's your approach?
Yeah, I think there's probably a couple different ways you can go about it, and it probably depends on your comfort level personally, on how comfortable you are with cold calling. It makes me nervous sometimes when I have to reach out to people I don't know. So I think starting with common ground, either in the area of work, so maybe they're in a common field and they're just at a higher level, or they're in a different what we would call like a vertical
Right.
than you are. So I'm in your field. I'm interested in achieving what you have career wise. Can you give me? I think leaving it open ended to them, so it's not a demand. It's I saw how successful you are. I aspire to be where you are. Would you mind giving me some tips on maybe some skills I could pick up um, would you be willing to open your network? That's something we do a lot here at LinkedIn. So it's like we share of like, oh, you might be interested in meeting this person. It's kind of part of the culture
Mhm.
of networking and opening that space up to people that you meet. And we do have some really great courses on it too, specifically geared towards students. We have a Learning LinkedIn for Students course, and then connecting. There's some on like how to use LinkedIn in general. So it talks about sending in mails and that kind of policy. I would say um, just leaving it open ended and making sure that you have a clear objective from it. So don't request connections just to have connections.
Right.
I would do it with a goal in mind of this is a field I'm interested in and I want to get more information. Interested if you, because you're in this field and have been for a while, or if you could give me more information on what exactly it is you do,
Right.
that kind of thing, I think is the most beneficial and the easiest way to make connections.
Okay. I when you said just don't request connections, just have. I'm with you. I have a pretty curated
Mhm.
LinkedIn network. Like there are people who send me requests, and I'm just like, I don't think I need you. I mean, I hate to say it that way. Like, what value do you add, or
Right.
like, I just don't add people just to add people. So when
Yeah.
people that have like 500 plus connections, I'm just like, how valuable are those 500? You know, I think I'm at like 80,
Hmm.
80 plus, or in the less than 100, but I
Yeah,
think they're valuable connections to have. Um,
absolutely.
so that's something we can talk about when we get to the LinkedIn profile. When we
Mhm.
actually get to creating your profile. I want to go back to some of the workshops um, that you are offering, because the students in these programs, so the fashion and merchandising and design students, and then the hotel and culinary students, they're creative students, but they're also entrepreneurs, right? But then they also work for people, right? So
Mhm.
they kind of, oftentimes they straddle that fence between full-time job and side hustle, right? And sometimes the side hustle becomes a full-time job, and
Mhm.
vice versa. So what kind of workshops do you have that focuses on maybe like the entrepreneurial mindset, um, or maximizing, your side hustle, right? Maximizing that side hustle.
Yeah, so I'm sure we have a lot of content around it too. Um, so this website it is customer facing. It's part of our customer success center on LinkedIn Learning,
Mm-hmm.
but it's our live and on demand webcast. So there are some that are more admin specific, but there are also students. So this one it happened on Tuesday the 16th, but it will part it be the recording will be available eventually, but it's like creating your brand on LinkedIn. And I think that's just a huge piece of figuring out what you want to project to people who might find you on LinkedIn, because you have so many options as to what people can see about you on LinkedIn. Is it just your picture and your name? Is it just your name and your title? Do you want to have that little blurb to give a little bit more insight as to what you do and what you're about? I think those kind of things are really important. So there's some courses here, and then I would say so. Let's see. I know we have some entrepreneurship content here. So there's like finding and testing, becoming your own boss. I think this is a good one, like common pitfalls of entrepreneurship. Like don't spread yourself too thin, probably, and just kind of figure out what you're passionate about
Right,
and then make that work for you.
right.
But there's a lot of good content out there for entrepreneurship in general. And then there's some really good sessions coming up about like personal branding
Right.
uh, and using the connection between LinkedIn and LinkedIn Learning to upskill yourself and get where you want to go.
Okay. I think personal branding is one of the most important skills that we don't teach. I hate to say it that way, that we don't teach that, because those skills also translate, again, as an entrepreneur, right? They
Mhm.
translate to what you do for your business, and you are the brand, right? You really are the brand. And I think I have a handful of students that are specifically interested in branding and social media. So I think those would be useful workshops for them to attend to build their personal brand, and then they can translate those skills
Hmm.
into, and just the importance of what your social media profile looks like. I mean, across all platforms, because
Yeah,
I think that's really important too. It's very common for, employers to do some research on you. Right?
absolutely. Yeah, I think so I'm just highlighting here some of like the personal branding content we have on LinkedIn Learning. But then also when it comes to your actual LinkedIn profile, um, I think operating outside of the kind of set it and forget it mindset of like, yeah, I created it and I don't go back to it unless I'm actively looking for a job. I
Mhm.
think it's much easier to continue and curate your presence on LinkedIn, even if you already have a job or you're not looking right now. Keep it up to date because you never know. People might find you and say, I have this great opportunity that maybe you never thought about.
Right.
But making sure that everything you have up there is up to date, it's interesting. Um, a lot of people here we share out articles from like our LinkedIn Learning blog or just trends we're seeing in learning and development and saying like, I saw this. If we have customer stories that we're able to share, it was like they were able to accomplish so much, and it's sharing that out to a wider audience so people can get ideas of maybe I could do this in my organization. And just getting that conversation going so it's not just a static profile of here's my picture, here's my current job title, and here's the skills I have. It's more of a living, breathing thing that represents who you are at any given point in time. And it allows people, there's a couple of new features um, that launched around COVID with um, the banner or a feature on your picture that will allow you to say, I'm looking for work, I'm open to opportunities, and it shows what skills you have, what you're looking for. So that's better services for people looking for candidates. Here are people who are already looking, actively ready for an offer, and what they can bring to the table. So I think things like that are really important to make sure that you keep up to date your experience, the skills you're earning. If you're taking courses on LinkedIn, post your certificates, make sure your skills are updated, and then just keep updating it as you progress in your learning journey. I think it's always a process. You're never done.
Right.
So just making sure that you keep up with that is really important.
The lifelong learning piece, right? The
Yes.
lifelong learning. I think it's interesting that you said, I love my job. I've been at JB for 13 years, but I have in the past had employers reach out to me, especially when I was on the buying side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Employers reach out to me, and it wasn't something that I wanted, but I was like, but I know somebody who may want it.
Exactly.
So that's why the network has been valuable for me as well, because it's not something I want, but I may know three people who may, this may work out for it instead. So I think that's
Yeah.
a third way, another way to use
Yeah.
profiles. Okay. Okay, all right. So show us a profile. Like, can we see yours and what it looks like, and what are
You
the
can see
elements?
mine.
Like we
Yeah.
we talk about all these pillars in education, like we talk
Hmm.
about guided pathways, or we've been
Yeah.
doing something hip hop related. We talk about the 5 pillars. So what are the pillars of a great LinkedIn profile?
I think for me, it kind of depends on the person and how much they want to share. We do have tons of privacy settings, so you don't have to share anything if you don't want to. And it can just be a place where people who know your email can find you and you can reach out to other people and keep it very close to your chest. You can also um, put as much detail on here as you want. So, like, I have my picture, I have my current title. You'll get kind of a score on things you've added to like your profile progress,
Mm-hmm.
I would say. So this is kind of what it'll look like. You'll have your feed. I went to Cal State Long Beach, so I'm getting stuff from them. Um, and then you'll have options of things to follow. Again, this is based on like other things you've interacted with or things you might be interested in based on what you have on your profile already. So you can see the feed of what other people are posting. These are people within LinkedIn. One cool thing is you can find LinkedIn learning content on LinkedIn. So just like this is a popular course. So we put it in the feed and you can watch it directly here. You can just watch a little bit of it. You can read other people's articles. Um, and let me go here.
We're getting the behind the scenes,
Yeah.
getting behind the curtain.
So, and you can see I've fallen behind. My profile strength is intermediate. I haven't updated it in a while. I have probably a lot more connections than I should. I used to work in music business and like entertainment booking. So a lot of them are offshoots of that and really probably aren't applicable to where I am now, but they're still good contacts to have because you never know. I might change jobs. I might have an opportunity come to me that, like you said, maybe it's not for me, but it's for someone I know. And I have that network set up. You like to list kind of your experience. So this is my LinkedIn journey. I started on our support team about 4 years ago now. And then last year or end of 2019, I moved over to our customer success organization. So that's been my progression. And I'm grateful to LinkedIn for giving me the opportunity to move up in my career. That's something they're really passionate about, is people's next play is what we call it. So whether that's internal, external, they're all about giving you, I mean, that's kind of our whole platform is upskilling, reskilling, and making sure you have all the tools to get where you want to go. So listing your education, probably at this point, I can take my high school education off if I wanted to beef it up a little bit. It's a while. I'm getting old. And then just your certification. So this is where your certificates of completion from LinkedIn Learning, or if you have certifications from entities like NASBA, PMI, you can post these here and just give them more emphasis on your profile. The skills and endorsement section. These are where the skills that are tagged from the courses get populated, and you can also get endorsed. So this has been endorsed by people I work with. So it's just that additional level of, yes, she knows what she's talking about. She's not just saying that she knows it. Right. You're not padding your resume, so to speak. And then
for our students,
go ahead.
Our students could add, courses that they've completed that provide some technical professional expertise. I mean, on the fashion side, it's very technical. On the culinary and hospitality side, it's technical and it's certification. They actually have some certifications, so they could add those there. So
absolutely
find them easily. Okay, great.
Yeah, for like food service, they could do their food handling, all of that. They have customer service skills, they have time management skills, they have a whole bunch of skills that maybe you wouldn't think of. And a lot of the jobs, I think the misconception about LinkedIn in general is that it's business. So it's those like 4-year degrees. It's the people wearing suits and ties. Obviously, I'm not wearing a suit, but it's more than that. Right? It's a lot deeper than that. There's, I think, about 1% of our 722 million members are frontline workers. So there's frontline positions. LinkedIn is about that as well. So it's more than just like, oh yeah, no, you have to go to like a 4-year Ivy League and it's only these like C-level positions. There's no entry level, no frontline. There's none of that available. That's not it at all. So I think it's just really important to list the things that you've accomplished and not second guess how important something is. Because there are some skills I've encountered as well that I'm like, is that really important to list? And then I didn't realize later on after an interview, they're like, yeah, we saw this skill and that was the tipping point or something like that. So making sure that you shout out and toot your own horn that here's everything I've accomplished. I put in the work and I've earned it. You can also follow interests, and that will help populate what's on your feed. So it might not necessarily be someone that you follow or that you're connected with, but because it's an interest that you say you have, we'll push out content to you and suggest other people in that field. You can also add profile sections. So you can add more education, you can add volunteer experience. Your accomplishment section can be added here. So if you have awards or honors that you want to post here, we also have LinkedIn skill assessments. And let's see. And so you can search for those here. There's some, let's see. Not as familiar with these because I haven't taken one, but essentially it's a test you can take. And if you score in the 70th percentile or higher, then you get a badge that you can put on your LinkedIn profile to say, yes, I've tested my knowledge. I know this.
Okay.
And there's, I think, about 20 or so right now. There's things like Excel, Office, all those good things to have. If you if you want to probably foot in the door office job, that's stuff you might need to know. Um, so you can continue to flesh out your profile there and say you could join groups. That's part of the thing on LinkedIn Learning that we've integrated. So around different topic areas. So I have one for Transform Her. We have a Women at LinkedIn group. And so you can have a discussion. It doesn't have to be LinkedIn specific, but it's kind of like a message board or discussion group around a certain topic. And those are always good to get involved in too, because you might meet people that way that you wouldn't otherwise be connected with and broaden your network.
So if a student was looking for just starting, creating industry connections, how would you recommend they search? So would you recommend they search, I'm going to use mine, for example, fashion merchandising or retail or buying, like what, how would they pare down the keywords that they would use to start the search?
That's a great question. I say job titles are good to start with. So if I could spell today, let's say fashion merchandising. So if you search by that, we'll give you a couple different categories. So there's people, here's a bunch of people who are in fashion merchandising, and then you can see their degree of connection to me. So they know someone that knows someone that knows me, or they know someone that knows me. You can see relative jobs in that area and then posts about it. So this is another way you can find people, see who's posting about things that you're passionate about and say, hey, I saw your post. Maybe leave them a comment and say, like, this is really engaging. I'd love to chat with you more about it. That's a good segue to an in-mail, and a connection request is, I read your post. I love what you wrote. I would like to talk more about it with you and get some insights, whether that's, hey, I'm looking for work in this area and maybe you have some tips, or I just really like what you had to say about it and I'd like to continue the discussion. And then those groups that we were talking about, you can find, so fashion merchandising group has 19,000 members. So there's a huge pool of people that you can interact with. So it's posting comments regarding merchandising issue and garment industry. And then there's more people down here at the bottom. So these are probably further connections from me. So these are like third degree connections, where there's the one up here, there's more second degree stuff.
Okay. I mean, my tactic too. I follow, you know, trade media, and
Mhm.
industry organizations on LinkedIn, and that's how I've been making my connections because like Business of
Yeah.
Fashion and International Retail Federation
Mhm.
are some of the ones that I follow it, and that's helped. But for students that don't even know that those exist, right? So I just
Yeah.
wanted to see how easy that search was. You just typed in
Yeah.
fashion
Just type in anything keyword search, same as you would search for it on Google,
right,
like fashion merchandising, tell me about it. Here's a
right,
bunch of different subsets. And then you can look at companies, you can look at schools, events, courses related to it. There's other filters here. So if I only want to look at fashion merchandising in California,
right.
or if I only want to look at people in California who might be a second degree, so I don't already know them, but they know somebody that I know. So there's my foot in the door. Maybe someone can introduce me. You can filter it that way and narrow your results. So you get, I mean, it's still 113,000 because it's a pretty broad category. I didn't apply a lot of filters, but it gets you a good jumping off point. And then it also gives you some other search suggestions to help narrow it down.
Okay, perfect. Now, in terms of just job search, right, and just not making connections just to make connections, but just using this as a job search function. You mentioned earlier that you could put in your banner that you were looking, but how would students use this strictly as a job search function, or
Yeah.
or in
So,
addition to networking as a job search
right.
function?
So there's jobs tab. So this is where you can find the skill assessments. Pro tip. Um, so we have an interview prep feature, a resume builder to help kind of build out what you should have on your profile. And then same, you can do a search by city. So if I was looking in Sunnyvale, and then I can filter it by experience levels,
Mhm.
job type. I can put in a keyword search here. So if I was looking for fashion merchandising here in Sunnyvale, then I can say I want associate level. That brings me down to 297 results from a little over 1,000. So you've already narrowed it down a lot. Then you can narrow it down by recent postings, whether they allow you to work remote, and then further by job type.
Great feature.
So
The remote feature is great. Yeah, the remote
I know.
Awesome.
So yeah, part-time, the date posted, the company, if you're looking for a specific company, let's say I wanted to work at the Container Store, then you can see if they have posts here, and this is where you can apply. So this is where your LinkedIn profile and how filled out it is comes into play, of like what skills you have. You can read through here, see what the responsibilities are, and just make sure that you have the skills that they're asking for. And if you don't, then you can go over to LinkedIn Learning and take a course, up your skills, put it on your LinkedIn profile, and then put that application in.
Perfect. So spend 30 minutes, an hour, do on the LinkedIn Learning, upskill yourself, and then that badge is going to show up on your excellent.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a really great option. And because we have so much data, we're able to kind of surface relevant jobs for you, relevant courses. It's really easy and pretty user-friendly to find things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're coming up on kind of the end of our time today for this one. What's your, I don't know, your number one tip, or what's the one thing you want the students to walk away from on this this workshop?
I think the first step of setting up a LinkedIn profile, even if you don't have it completely 100% filled out, you can see I work at LinkedIn and mine's still intermediate. So there's always work that can be done. It doesn't have to be a giant task. It can be a little bit at a time, but just setting it up, getting your name and your picture on there, your location. If you have job experience, I'd put that on there. And then I would take a look at LinkedIn Learning. You have licenses available. They're free. They're being paid for by the consortium. So I really encourage everyone to use them. And it doesn't have to be specifically for school. It's a personal and professional development tool. So if there's something you're really passionate about that might be a side project or side hustle right now, maybe you're into photography, maybe you're into music composition, you can take those courses on LinkedIn and then take a communications course or take an Excel course. There's all kinds of stuff available. So I think just taking that first step, maybe setting yourself a learning goal of 5 minutes a week to come in, see what's new, and do the same thing for your LinkedIn profile. Just check in on a regular basis, maybe add something, post an article, post a comment, just start interacting with it. And then eventually you'll be able to grow your network pretty organically.
Right. So it's the consistency is the key. So
Yeah.
interacting on a regular basis is.
Yeah. Building a habit for yourself is probably the hardest part
Right.
of remembering to do it on a consistent basis. Because it's easy to sit down, like block out an hour or two, get it all set up, set it and forget it. But like we were talking about before, especially as we've seen with COVID, like everything can change really quickly. So making sure that you're able to pivot and make those changes, and that you're checking in on these things on a consistent basis. So everything's up to date. If something happens, you have all those skills already built up, your profile's ready to go. So if worst case scenario, you lose your current job, you have a network to fall back on, and you have these skills that you've earned, you put the work in on your profile, and you're ready to apply for jobs. You don't have to scramble and try and do it at the same time everyone else is.
Right. That's that's my objective, my goal for having the students make the connections. Make two connections a week to get into the habit.
Yeah.
Looking at their profile, seeing what's out there on a regular basis. So hopefully by the time they're done, they're in that habit of going to the page on a regular basis. Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for these words of wisdom. I'm going to ask Dina to jump in here for a second to talk about who she is, what she does, and how she can assist the students as well.
Thank you, Emma. So my name is Dina Mancini. I am I guess, the interim director of the Career Center. And I am partnering with Tara to have our team assist you with anything you need as far as resumes, mock interviews, reading job descriptions, the value of LinkedIn, assisting you with your profiles, and creating a customized one-on-one service for you throughout your journey here at Chaffey College. So we're here to support you in that. So
and her stuff is posted all over the class. So how to get
anything,
is posted.
yeah. And it includes anything. Sometimes it's just a challenge just to get a regular job, just a job to get you through to college. And that's what we're here for as well. So we're here to support you in all of those things, even just making a basic resume, a customized resume, any questions that you have in regards to an interview, what to wear. So we're accessible for all of those things.
Excellent. And I know Dina is the master of skill building, right? Of showing students how to maximize what is missing from their resume and how to gain those skills. So I think this is a great partnership with what Dina can offer and what LinkedIn Learning actually has. What LinkedIn Learning actually has. Okay, so for students, if you have questions that weren't posed here, you have another opportunity tomorrow. But also you can send those questions to me, and I will get in touch with Emma and Dina and pass those along. But I just want to thank both of you ladies for spending this time with us today to help assist our internship students, get a job. Our industries, both, retail, fashion design, merchandising, culinary arts, and hotel food service was greatly impacted by the pandemic. We, in many cases, we are frontline workers. And the industry is different, and we don't know if it's what it's going to go back to when things open back up. So, I think our students are in a unique position to be workforce ready to whatever it's going to be by the time that they receive their degree. So by giving them as many resources as possible, we're putting them in a better position than some people that are actually already in the industry. Yeah, so that's really cool for them to, I don't want to say leapfrog, but leapfrog over some of the people that have been working in this environment in a really traditional way and moving them forward. We see that, we know that retail is a driver, right? Retail and restaurants are economic drivers, and hospitality is right behind it. And the hard hit is going to force companies to do business in a different way. So by them making network connections and marketing themselves and having all these skills like so readily accessible, right?
Yes.
Help them get the job. So
yes.
So ladies, do you have any parting words for our students?
Well, I'm excited to work with you and your students because I have a background in sales, retail, love fashion, love food, the restaurant. So it'll be fun. It'll be nice.
Perfect. And how about you, Emma? Any parting words for our students?
Yeah, well, I think you two are setting students up for success. Exactly to your point, we saw over the last year how much the world of work has changed. That's something like we've definitely observed in trends in learning and development across all spaces, corporate, retail, everything has been impacted. Nobody is going to operate the same way they did prior to 2020. So I think it's just best to be prepared and agile in being able to pivot quickly and learn new skills and just continue that habit of learning. Even if you have a role that you love and you couldn't dream of leaving, it doesn't hurt to keep investing in yourself.
That's great. Investing in yourself. That's how we're going to end it. That's what they're doing. They are investing.
Yes.
They are investing in yourself. So thank you,
yes.
ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Here, let me stop the recording really quick.